Hi, today I want to talk to you about your 1.5 million youth build budget. That is a lot of money, but the youth build grant has a lot of things that you also have to execute under the requirements of this grant. So I want to tell you a little bit about what you will be spending your $1.5 million on to give you a little direction. So, when I took economics class way back when I was growing up in Jamaica, my beautiful island of Jamaica, my teacher said to us, what are the most important capital in a business? And we discussed it: machine, money, materials, people. What are the most important capital? And so the most important capital is the people. If you don't have the people, passionate, creative, hardworking people who come to work every day, you don't have anything, because the people build everything else. So the very first thing that you have to spend this $1.5 million on is your personnel. So, personnel is the very first thing that you will be spending the funding on. So their salaries, you want to pay them very lucrative, attractive salaries to keep them coming to work and to work on the program and to make the program a success. My mentor told me that if you take money off the table, there is no excuse why someone will not be giving it their best. So you definitely want to pay them very attractive salaries so that that is not an issue for them to come to work and give it their all. If they're not coming to work and if they're not giving it their all, money is not an issue. So you need to resolve the issue, or identify what the issue is and resolve that issue, because you already took money off the table by paying a very attractive salary. You also want to pay fringe benefits. So in addition to salary, benefits is very important. So make sure that you create a very attractive benefit package. 401k or any type of IRA, retirement package. You want to do paid time off, you want to do health care, and you could do incentives such as childcare assistance or gym memberships. You want to make your benefit package very attractive so that people will come to work and give it their all. So personnel plus their fringe benefits, those are some of the things that you want to spend this $1.5 million on. The next thing that you want to do is travel. Youth Build wants you to budget for the staff and even the partners and even the participants to travel to local, regional, or out of state trainings so that they can be better equipped to work on the Youth Build program and make it a success. So you want to budget for travel. You want to budget for equipment. For Youth Build, equipment must be greater than $5,000 for it to be considered equipment. So that could either be a really large printer, or some other type of machinery that's over $5,000. The next thing that you want to budget for would be supplies. Supplies is papers, pencils, file cabinets, doors, filing cabinets, and all the things that the workers will need to, the personnel would need to operate the program. So when you look around your office, everything that you see is basically what the Department of Labor will consider a supply. So you can budget for those things under that section for your personnel so that they can have all the equipment, I say equipment, such as a laptop or a small desktop printer, as opposed to a really large communal printer, which would be under equipment for $5,000. So you want to budget for supplies for your personnel. Supplies for also the participants as well. So when they come in and they need assistance and they may need some paper, some pen, and other office things, you will have it there for them to utilize. Because remember, one of the things in this youth bill grant, you have to help them to complete their resumes and revise their resumes and edit their resumes. So you're going to have all those things there for them to do that. So it comes under supplies. The next thing that you're going to want to do is budget for contractors. So these contractors are your community partners that you pay for service. So a contractor could be the community college, the workforce investment board, the community college for providing the GED and the construction skills, the workforce investment board for providing job search assistance. You could also have other community partners. Say, for instance, a participant needs some supportive service, childcare, transportation, substance abuse help. They will need free they will need free help to navigate the judicial system. They will also need free tax assistance. So all these things, if you reach out into the community and the community does not have it for free, you can pay the contractor a subsidized amount to assist your participants, okay? So that's really, really important. The other thing you're going to budget for is construction costs. So remember, one of the core components of the Youth Bill Grant is to provide affordable housing. So you will either build, renovate, rehabilitate, reconstruct at least one unit of residential housing. So the building materials that you will need to do that, you can budget for it in the Youth Build out of your $1.5 million. You will also need direct program costs. So direct program costs are those additional costs that you will pay for. I will give you an example. So if you need to rent office space, that is a direct program cost. If you need to take on services, telephone service, internet service, those are direct program costs. The final thing that I want to talk to you about is administration fees. Now, everyone loves administration fees. The reason why a lot of nonprofits and organizations love administration fees is that in addition to actually hiring new personnel and paying for direct personnel that are working on the program, administration fees can also include indirect costs. And indirect costs are those shared costs that once you take on a program, the expense of taking on that program is not easily or readily identifiable. So what that means is if you have to spend some time, for instance, a staff member has to spend 30 minutes or 28 minutes or an hour or some arbitrary amount on the program, you can compensate your current staff members for touching the program, overseeing the program, monitoring the program, doing something for the program. So a lot of times, current staff members like to see new programs come in because if they get to touch it, they get a little bit of diversity to work on another program, and also they get an increase because the hours that they work on that new program, they're compensated, as well as any additional shared expenses. So that could be utilities. So now that you've taken on the youth build program, having those participants come to your location and utilize the kitchenette, the bathrooms, your supplies, and all these things, sometimes the expense is not easily identifiable. So what you do, the program, these funding agencies will say, okay, allocate 10% of the grant towards administrative fees, which also covers indirect costs. And then you can allocate that portion to current staff members' oversight and input, and also the shared burden of having that program at your location now. So these are some of the line items that you will be spending the money on for your $1.5 million youth build grant. Each of these categories do have individual line items, which is where the magic of the youth build budget really is. But these will be your categories, and then you will have individual line items under these categories of expense. So make sure you get started on your budget right away. You will need to do a budget. You will also need to do a budget narrative for your 1.5 million youth build grant.